Hey everyone, welcome to Logan's Mosh Pit. Glad to have you here. Do me a favor and please subscribe if you haven't already. Ding ding ding! Time for another episode of Supergroup Showdown! In this series, two formidable supergroups will battle it out to see who's the best. I will compare both supergroups across several categories to see who's the best. In the end, there will be one winner. No ties. You know why? Ties are for Father's Day. That's why. I selected Audioslave to duke it out against Velvet Revolver. Just so you know, my favorite song by Audioslave, which fills my heart with joy, is Gasoline, and my favorite Velvet Revolver song is, I might get in trouble for saying this, Oh Eagle Eye Song. I'll put a link to both those terrific tracks in the description for your listening pleasure. Enough chit-chat. Let's discover which supergroup will be crowned champion. Let's get ready to rumble! Wondering about the scoring categories? Well, there will be 7 categories total, each one a point apiece. First category, number of albums. During their brief tenure together, Audioslave cranked out 3 studio albums. Meanwhile, Velvet Revolver only pumped out 2 studio albums. As a result, Audioslave gets a point here, making the score Audioslave 1, Velvet Revolver 0. Don't worry, Velvet Revolver fans, we still got a long way to go. Next category, album names. Audioslave bestowed their own name, Out of Exile, and Revelation. Kind of followed a biblical pattern. On the other hand, Velvet Revolver brainstormed Contraband and Libertad. I've always been fond of pairing opposite words side by side, such as sad smile. An oxymoron would be the technical term. The meaning of Velvet Revolver's albums basically boils down to restriction and freedom. Therefore, because of personal preference, Velvet Revolver receives a point for the name game category. Audioslave 1, Velvet Revolver 1. Next category, album sales. Audioslave sold roughly 5 million albums in the United States alone, while Velvet Revolver made do with around 2 million total. Even when we eliminate one of Audioslave's albums to make things more fair, they still pull ahead substantially. Audioslave holds the advantage for amount of album sales. Audioslave 2, Velvet Revolver 1. Next category, amount of songs. If you're a fan of both of these bands, how many songs can your ears enjoy? Adding up all of Audioslave's albums' track listings gives us a grand total of 38. On the other hand, Velvet Revolver tops out at merely 26 between their 2 records. This means you'll run out of Velvet Revolver material long before Audioslave. Audioslave possesses some extra wiggle room. Now the score says Audioslave 3, Velvet Revolver 1. Next category, cover art. Rather than study every album's cover, I focused on my favorite from each supergroup. Audioslave's debut self-titled Baby brings a cartoony flame sitting on scorching sand located in a dry desert. Conversely, Velvet Revolver's last record, Libertad, depicts a circular-shaped badge bearing Lady Liberty with eagle's wings strapped to her back, surrounded by stars. Admittedly, this stirs up a sensational sense of patriotism within me and produces pride for my home country. It causes the Audioslave counterpart to appear more meaningless and forgettable. So Velvet Revolver comes back and clinches the cover art category. Audioslave 3, Velvet Revolver 2. Category, guitarist comparison. Tom Morello coming to Audioslave's aid and / steering Velvet Revolver's ship. Who do I prefer? Both men own a distinct style. Mr. Morello stacks effects sky high until his guitar sounds quite futuristic. However, / counters with some fast and furious string slang. Although Tom Morello is certainly no slouch, I think Slash's approach feels more genuine and recognizable. Slash sort of keeps his instrument in check, but Tom tends to get carried away too much at times. So I lean towards Slash. Now we're tied up. Audioslave 3, Velvet Revolver 3. Finally, a fitting face-off for all the marbles. A vocal battle. Chris Cornell clutching Audioslave's mic, and Scott Weiland welding Velvet Revolver's mic. Chris handedly takes down Scott here. Sure, Scott's fluttering voice seems pretty easy on the ears, but Chris's singing knows no bounds. He can come across as gentle as a billowing breeze, or as primarily aggressive as a charging bear. Unfortunately, Scott lacks that delightful dexterity. Congrats, Audioslave. You barely won this intense supergroup showdown. Final score, Audioslave 4, Velvet Revolver 3. Velvet Revolver shouldn't be ashamed at all. After all, it pushed Audioslave to its limits. No matter what, I'm proud to put both supergroups in my playlist. That does it for today's video, guys. I hope you enjoyed. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already. I really appreciate the support. I'll see you next time. Till then, rock on.